Hello and good morning. Um, I always get scooped by the goddamn Steven Crowder with his talent, his humor, and his vastly larger pool of resources. So instead of making mock of Vox and their uh, latest, I don't even know that I want to call it a propaganda because that gives bad name to propaganda off the world over. Uh, it's funny because I'm pretty well-read guy. Not many words I have to actually go into the dictionary to look up. When I do that, it's usually just to show someone else, be a dick to them. But I went ahead and did that after I read what Vox's website it describes themselves as nuanced. Well, nuanced is not the same as news, and often your nuance can be lies, like every video I've ever seen from Vox. And that's not just them. Slate, Root, CNN to a much greater degree. All these people try to present nuanced takes on events happening in the world, and what they end up doing is they end up lying and misleading people. So I'm going to give you guys an alternative to that. I'm going to give you some news, some real news. All right. And top of the hour is it's raining like shit in Indianapolis right now. Just snowed like shit the other day, and that's why I love it here. Our climate doesn't change, at least on a man-made massive scale. Our weather changes quite often, but our climate is nuanced. Biggest thing that I feel is underreported is the fact that, and forgive me for stating the obvious, our education system is an abject failure. Forget the fact that kids can barely read in high school. Forget the fact that they don't know sentence structure, transitive verbs, and what pejorative is. Forget all that. All right. Let's talk about something more fundamental. All right, because in order to learn anything, to be taught anything, you have to learn about yourself. You have to have a sense of context. What brought our society to this point where I'm sitting in this publicly funded through coercion mandatory government program. What led us here? I learned about American political theory when I was like 14, and it wasn't like gloss over 2 chapters on the American Revolution and some stupid play about the founders. It wasn't that at all. Like, we got into the meat of it. And the fact that kids about to graduate high school think they can reconcile restricting specific types of weapons platforms with the shall not be infringed clause of the Second Amendment. It's disheartening. My son is 16, and he has more knowledge regarding the foundation of our political theory here in America as it pertains to defense of inalienable rights than alleged journalists, scholars, legal analysts. And it's a damn joke if you'll bear with me for a second, I got to go through some notes. You know, get tons of notes. I'm old like that, you know. You know what? We're just gonna do it the way people do it nowadays. All right, where are we at here? Okay, well, I'm going to read the Second Amendment. I know it's tired. People have heard it a bazillion times over the last month and a half. But I feel for the sake of fullness, it's necessary. All right. Now, please forgive me, but I'm going to vocalize the punctuation. Seems necessary. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Now, I dealt with this a little bit in a previous video. I think it was Reading is Fundamental was the name of it. Got like 9 views. You know, I'm reaching massive audience. But I feel the need to do it again because people are morons. There are 2 different types of clauses in this amendment. Initially, we have a well-regulated militia, prefatory clause, which, being necessary to the security of a free state, would fall under the definition of prefatory clause. And what it does is it sets the ground. You know, it gives you an introduction into the operative part of the amendment, the operative clause. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. End of the introduction, or of the groundwork, of the foundation of that amendment. And you get into the operative clause. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, when you look in the First Amendment, the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. There should be no law by Congress abridging those. Okay, so we assume in the First Amendment that the people denotes a individual right, because I mean, the states, are they going to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances? Not in this manner. All right. I have nothing prepared. I just wanted to come on here and just show how stupid people are with their I don't even know what to call it. Like, I call them hot takes or bad takes but in regard to something as fundamental as American political theory, it just doesn't seem fitting. All right. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. And no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. All right. The right of the people. That's obviously an individual right as well. I could go on, but you know what? I'm not. Because the fact of the matter is in every other instance where our founders said the right of the people, they meant an individual right. When they referred to the states, they were smart enough to be specific and say the states. For instance, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Clear delineation between the people, excuse me, and the states. Where else we got? What else can we do? Unenumerated rights. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by, you guessed it, the people. All right. So the operative clause in the Second Amendment is specifically the right of the people, of the individual citizens of each individual state, to keep and bear arms, and it shall not be infringed, because a well-regulated militia or a well-equipped and trained, able-bodied group of citizens is necessary to the security of a free state. And what does that mean? Because I was told that they meant the states, that the states were this well-regulated militia, and that the right for the state to keep arms in the event of federal tyranny. Well, that's not only stupid, but it's borderline retarded. Because state governments can become tyrannical as well if what our founders believed and what we see through history to be true, that being all governments trend towards tyranny. Why would state governments be exempt from that? Especially considering the power that is in the state government is of a much different nature than the power that resides with the federal government. The states pre-existed the federal government. All right. There's this thing called residual power that is just there. It's assumed. And to think or to believe that can't trend towards tyranny is absolutely asinine, especially considering the fact that our framers, the framers of our government, built in to the Constitution a specific section regarding the states and the federal government's quasi-authority over them. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislator or of the executive when the legislator cannot be convened against domestic. So it's presumed by the inclusion of that article that state governments as well can become tyrannical or can become destructive to the ends for which they were created, that being securing the rights, the pre-existing rights of the citizens. All right. Here's what's going to happen. All right. I just got on here because I was bored and YouTube made me wait 24 hours to go live. So what's going to happen is I'm going to sign off for now, put a little something together so I don't sound like such a retard, and I'm going to go live again here in just a bit, and I am going to decimate any argument that can be raised against not only the individual right to keep and bear arms, but the individual's right to keep, maintain, and bear weapons of war. Because, I mean, let's face it, a bunch of muzzle loaders and shotguns and pistols and 22 long rifles and, maybe a 30-06 with like a 5-round clip here and there just doesn't quite deliver the parity intended. All right, so you guys sit around, joke about how retarded I sound, my big forehead, I need a shave, and I'll be back, and I will present what should be the end of the gun debate in America, which I'm just going to give you information that ended the gun debate 239 years ago, 49 years ago, something like that. I'm not a math magician. But hang tight and we'll be back.